So here we are arriving in the town of Yass. This was first seen by William Hovell and Hamilton Hume on the 18th of October as they commenced their descent into the town of Yass. Hovell discusses in his diary how along the way between Yass and Gunning they marked out the trees and found the soil to be very slaty and of poor quality. The country was rugged. It's certainly not now with these modern paths. And they went up to a hill to survey the area, and Hovell named it Mount Lookout. Today that's Mount Mundunan, I believe, and he could see all the fine land to the south. So guys, Hume and Hovell's entrance into the town of Yass in 1824 was very different to the town of Yass in 2024, as the bush was more like this that I've inserted for you, very rugged. You can imagine what it would have been like trying to get a horse and cart, a bullock cart along this track with trees in the road, and there was only the 8 of them as they travelled through this dense bushland, marking out the trees and trying to cover as much distance as they could. So on the first day they covered about 12 miles heading into the town, and there was no town. The town of Yass did not exist back then. It was just more and more of this kind of bushland, and we're going to spend some time exploring this area. So guys, we're coming up to the Tourist Information Centre now. Now this is Cooma Street, which is the main street of Yass, but it also is the Hume and Hovell walking track. It's a very nice walking track with pavements. Here we go, here's a sign, and it's telling us we've got 440 kilometres to get to O'Brien, but we'll be taking a lot longer than Hamilton Hume and William Hovell as we travel on. It's time for another one of Kevin's big adventures. In this episode, we're going to do some exploring and have a great time with our friend Dougie Dog as Kevin sightsees around Australia. So stay tuned for this exciting episode. Well guys, we finally found our way to the campground. It's beautiful here on the banks of the river. Couldn't have asked for a better location. And we get 2 nights here, right on the bank of the river with this beautiful view, and they've even got a boat ramp, and it's all free. Couldn't ask for a better location. Now Dougie and I are going to head off for a bit of an explore. So guys, we're not the only people here. I'm sure you can hear there's a few dogs in the background, but there's also a few cows. So Dougie and I are going to try and duck and weave because these people want their privacy. But it is a lovely location and quite popular up here. So yeah. So guys, according to the information I was reading, this river has Murray cod in it, and it has yellow belly, sometimes People look at it like it's a brim, but it's also been affected by non-Indigenous redfin and lots of carp. We might chuck a line in later on, depending on how we go. Anyway, Dougie and I are going to continue our walk. Okay guys, so we're just going under this Yass Railway Bridge. It's a significant historical structure. It's really cool. So it was still in operation right up until 1988, when the services across Yass Town were stopped on the tramway line. But prior to that, it was constructed in 1892, and the thing that makes it really interesting is it's the first Pratt Truss railway bridge erected in Australia, which is pretty impressive. Now, it's heritage listed and it's known as the Yass Railway Bridge, and I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure I've seen it photographed heaps and heaps of times, but I want to look at it from a different angle. In the water. Oh my god guys, well I wasn't expecting to see a turtle on the footpath as we were walking along, but there it was. Anyway, there was a sign a bit further up the road, so I've taken a photo of both to share with you. Dougie was sniffing but not overly concerned, but I didn't want the poor turtle to end up as lunch, so we just moved on. So while I was at the Tourist Information Centre, guys, I picked up this brochure, which is a self-guided tour of the town. So I thought we would get to learn a bit more about this town and see what's going on and just do a bit of exploring while Dougie has his walk. Anyway, so we'll see what this has to offer. I'm not sure we're starting at the right end, but that's okay. Anyway, stay tuned and we'll see all about the town of Yass historic walk. So according to our list, this should be number 18, which is Cobblestone Cottage that was built in 1840. I've seen a photo of this, guys, on the internet where it was underwater right the way up to the roof, which is pretty interesting. It's amazing, this old cottage. And surviving being flooded out is pretty impressive. So what does it say? It says it was originally, this is interesting. So this was the original store and post office of Thomas Lawson and a partner Harrison. So it was the early shop. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Okay guys, so this is Rose Cottage Inn, that they believe to be the second oldest building in town. It was the second pub built, and it remained a pub until 1881, and then it was used as a doctor's surgery. Alright, that's pretty impressive. Looks like it's been really well restored. so it looks like this was first built by Isaac Moses. I wonder whether he was related to Moses from the Yass area. So I'm just coming in the side gate now of the courthouse in Yass. So here we are at the main area of the courthouse. You can tell it was built prior to the 1800s because it still has the British coat of arms. What does it... Okay. So it says that this was to replace the earlier courthouse. Okay, so according to the map we should be going around the corner into Rosso Street, which we have. So we're just going to have a look around in Rosso Street. We're looking for the Globe Inn. Okay, so I think we found the Globe Inn, guys. And this is interesting. So this venue was one of the original inns, and it was for many years where they held balls, theatre. There was a booking office for the telegraph line of the American covered coaches. Wow, that sounds pretty impressive. It was one of the largest hotels in Yass until 1888, and it became a boarding house. It's still actually an inn today, which is interesting. So I believe they do bed and breakfasts there, but it's very picturesque. And you can imagine sitting on the veranda up there. Okay, so guys, we've made it now to number 13. So this is where the Shire Council began in 1906, and it was used up until 1965 as the council chambers. But it's still used by the council as well as other things. Nice old building. Okay, guys, so we're supposed to be heading up this street. We're heading back along the railway lines. The gas works is supposed to be up this way, and the other stuff that we might see, apparently the original inn or remains of it stables should be up this way somewhere. Anyway, we'll see what we can see as we head up this way. Well, guys, as I mentioned earlier, there's a gentleman called Moses, and he was one of the first pound keepers in Yass. And I found it interesting what a pound keeper was, because their job was to pick up the animals, cows, sheep, horses that back in those days, and take care of them until the owners came to pick them up. Pretty much like we have today with a pound, but those days it wasn't limited to just dogs. So he would look after all these animals, and you can see in this beautiful old stone remains here on Dutton Street. So we've headed back up Dutton Street now, guys, and isn't this just a beautiful building? So Dutton Street was actually named after two brothers, William and Frederick Dutton, who came to Australia in 1830, and they set up a partnership here in the Yass area, and Dutton Street was named after them. It was one of the first streets, and the houses in these streets are dated to the 1870s. However, the photograph I'll show you later from 1850s shows that there were houses here prior to that time. So it's, like I said, one of the first streets that wasn't part of O'Connor, which was owned by Henry O'Brien. I'll show you the maps I found of O'Connor, where he laid out how he wanted what was to become many of the streets today in the town of Yass. So we're going to cross over the tramway line that runs down Dutton Street. I showed you earlier where the bridge was, and that's a bit further down in front of us. So we're going to have a look around the lines now. Okay guys, we've arrived at number 10 on our list. This is the Sisters of Mercy Convent and School, which was built soon after the sisters arrived in 1876. Now this is where I'm a little bit confused, guys, because according to this, it was the second oldest building in Yass. But when I go back to where we were looking at Rose Inn, it also says it's the second oldest hotel in Yass. Oh goodness. Anyway, I'm going to go up so you can see it better from past the walls. So you can see the beautiful chapel inside with the amazing original glass windows. So when the sisters came to Yass, this is where they held Mass originally. It went on to become Mount Carmel School, and it was a boarding school right up until 1993. Now it is only a primary school. And okay, so guys, this building next door to where the nuns were in the convent is the Presbyterian Catholic Church. It was built in 1837. According to this, it's number 9 on our list here. And it has been the home of the Catholic priests since its construction. It's absolutely stunning. I'm not sure if it's open like a normal church, but when you just look at how well preserved and maintained this whole area is. So it's a beautiful historical building. So the church spire is stunning. I don't know whether it has bells. It doesn't say on the information sheet for this site, but that's over there is the church hall. Okay guys, so we've done the church, which was very nice, and now we're back on Dutton Street as we're going to head along to the tramway museum. Now it was originally a proper railway line. You can see the line there, and I'm just going to walk up past the station master's house now. As we come around this corner, you guys will be able to see it. It's been fully renovated. It's someone's private house, so we're not going to wander in there, but it's beautiful. We'll have a closer look at it when we get closer to the tramway. So here we are guys, now at the Tramway Museum. I'm not going to show you everything because you guys should come and have a look yourselves, but it's really interesting, and it was officially opened on the 20th of April 1892 by the Governor of New South Wales. There was even the breaking of a champagne bottle over the engine and the switching on of the gas supply by the Lady Mayoress. It operated as a link between one side of town and the other side of town, running down Dutton Street, which we've just seen, for many, many years. Now, despite the fact that it was only 5 kilometres long, going back to the junction, it served as a huge important hub, hauling in passengers and freight backwards and forwards, including onto Crago Mill, which we're going to have a look at now. Anyway, we're going to have a quick more explore around here. I'll post all the links and other important information in the description, and don't forget to subscribe, guys. Okay guys, so this is the Crago Mill on our list of places to visit. Now, the interesting thing about the Crago Mill was the first flour mill was actually owned by Hamilton Hume and his brother-in-law. And that wasn't at this end of town. It was actually down near where we're camping. So, but it was flooded out in 1870. So by that time, Thomas Barber rebuilt the flour mill up here. He then sold it to Mr. Triggs, who then on-sold it in 1899 to Mr. Crago. Now, we'll learn more about Mr. Crago later on. Produced bran, flour and breakfast cereals right up until the 1930s. Okay guys, we're heading down the main street now, and it's a little bit more challenging to take some video here. But I wanted to tell you, so we're going past number 32, which is now the Australian Hotel. It was originally built by a convict, John Martin, which was very interesting. Now we're moving on to the Australian Stores. Now it was built on the old steam mill site and was major apartment stores. Our next stop, number 30, is the Golden Boot. This store was a bootmaker's, and then it went on to be the Yass Courier newspaper from 1888 until the start of the First World War. So this is pretty interesting, guys. I'm really enjoying this walk. So our next stop is number 29, and we're just going to wander around the corner to it. And then that's going to be the last one for today, and you guys will have to find the rest yourself. A list, and it is Banjo Patterson Park, named after the famous poet, who apparently he was born not far from here, and actually owned property in Wee Jasper, which is one of the places we'll be visiting later on as part of the Human Hobble walking track. So I may in the future look at doing a series on famous Australian poets. But this is a lovely park, and we're on our way back now to the campground. So I'm heading back to our campsite. I just wanted to share with you a few other interesting stories about the town of Yass. So in our next episode, I'm going to delve into some of the more exciting adventures. But there's one gentleman that caught my eye, and that was Mr. Washington Barker. Now, Washington Barker appears in the newspapers from 1859, and he's first charged with being drunk and disorderly. He upgrades his behaviour by 1860, and he gets done for larceny, stealing a horse, taking possession of stolen goods, and a great deal more. Now, he is one of the many interesting characters I'm going to tell you guys about in our next episode on the town of Yass. So stay tuned,